Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is Monday, June the 3rd, 2019. It is a new moon in Gemini, and the energy has been off the chain for me personally. So I was just telling my gal pal posse here, BZ Rieger and Lisa Flamino Rush, I'm about over myself, or I'm trying to get over myself, or whatever I want to say. But BZ is going to be the focus tonight because tonight is BZ's Quantum Shower Part 2, whatever. A new paradigm begins, and I chose that title. So BZ, you sent us some notes from what your experience was last evening, and we were kind of otherwise engaged and unable to come play with you on such short notice, but I'm anxious to hear more about it because those notes were pretty fabulous. I said to Lisa, I want some of what BC said.
Yeah,
so fill us in.
The funny part was the notes were more just kind of, I don't know, like if you were reading a scene about something, it was just kind of to highlight the scene. And because this morning when I woke up, oh, where'd she go? There she is.
I know she's flipping in and out. That's been going on. To give you
come back?
Yes, you did. I don't know how this is going to look on camera for the recording, but to try to explain to everyone, Lisa may be flipping in and out of our conversation. she's in the gazebo. Well, she's in the gazebo in the backyard, and
I'm between dimensions.
I know what you said, even though it didn't come out on my end. You're in between dimensions. I believe that that's true. But also the Wi-Fi, I think, has a little issue reaching out that far in the backyard, although it's not very far in the backyard. But so I'm sorry. So go ahead, BZ, please. You just your little snippets got me excited. So let's talk about it.
Well, it was fun. It was actually funny. I got finished with work yesterday, and I had been planting, so my hands are kind of dirty. I thought, well, I'll just sit on the porch and relax for a minute, and then I'll take a shower, and then I'll do whatever. And I had this tremendous urge. No, you got to take a shower right now. And part of me was like, no, I'm cool. I'm going to sit here right now. No, you're going to go take a shower right now. So almost to the point when the sleepy train comes to get you or takes you away, or if you got to really pee and you need someone to get out of the bathroom, whatever it is. So I thought, okay. So I turned on the shower and the water had barely gotten warm. And I jumped in and the first parts of what I'm about to describe seem like, they happened in a linear progression and that they took a fair amount of time, but it was almost, well, they didn't. So I describe them because I speak in a language that's linear, but they happened instantaneously, if that makes sense.
It does to me because of that experience that I've shared with the two of you, and I think we've talked about it on camera once, my experience of the vision. It's like it arrived as a packet instantaneously and sort of, it was just there in my head, like an entire experience, almost like I was reliving something when I don't know how to explain that, but I feel that what you're describing there is the same sort of thing.
Yeah, it was, well, I would say it's similar to that, but different. I think it just was, everything was different. But anyway, so as soon as I was in the shower, everything shifted, everything changed. At first I could hear and see things actually shifting. It sounded like, can you hear me okay with the wind?
Well, it's a little noisy, but yeah. We can hear the wind too, yeah.
Yeah.
And we can barely hear Lisa. When you speak, Lisa, you've got to project for sure.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
If it keeps up breezy, we may have to just start and go inside. For me. So I could hear like doors shifting, opening and closing that almost sounded like big doors, like big hangar doors. And the impression of, I don't know, mass, which would mean size and weight kind of thing, of metal, but did not sound metal, if that makes sense. And it's funny because some of these things struck me as things to particularly remember. I'm not sure if that makes sense either. But anyways, so and then I was jumping in my Merkaba, and we were moving and going through all of these, the doors, and the floor was sliding. So the shower had changed from the shower to, first it started with all these different colors, and colors in a quality I've never seen before. Very effervescent, very transparent. And as the colors would change, they would become translucent, so there was more opacity to them, and then they would shift to the next. And what was interesting is I could have a sense of something first in hearing or seeing, and then it would move, and I would feel all of it in the hearing and seeing, if that makes sense. And I thought, okay, well, here we go. And what was very interesting was I felt much taller all of a sudden, like my head was closer to the shower faucet. And I also had the feeling that I was riding in the Merkaba, and the Merkaba was, if I was going to say it, instead of being on the ground like a car, it was raised up. It's just the sensation that I got. And I'm not sure if that was a sensation because that was a sensation, or that helped my linear brain process things to sense that I was actually now moving. Like when you're in a car, it would make sense if you're used to certain perception things. And towards the beginning of what we were going through and moving through, were like little vignettes of my life, at different ages and different stages of my life and that sort of thing. Just a little snapshot, and then it would instantly change, and it would be in another place, another world, even another dimension. So not some of all of those, some of just one of those. And so similar, but not really at all. So I don't know whether there was a point to calling me back to those stages. And I don't know whether it was a developmental stage, if it was a process in my awakening stage, or shifts in my body stage, DNA stage, or something I don't know. But there seemed to be some correlation there. And that was just a bit at the beginning. And then, oh, and one thing I want to say, instead of like a car where you kind of drive or train and you're going through scenery, like, oh, you pass that house or that store or that field or whatever, where it's outside of you and you're kind of moving past it. Everything that I was seeing, quote unquote, out there was inside of me. So, you know, like you might look at your arm and say, oh, well, that's the window, you know, of I can't think of the name of that, you know, on Star Trek where they have the 10 forward, you know, or that's this, or kind of a thing. So it was, and again, because the brain processing is linear, I absolutely got it when I was in it and seeing it, and then trying to describe it, it seems mixed up. But so everything, so it wasn't happening, it wasn't a scene I was watching, I was in it, I was part of it, and it was beyond that, it was within me. And so we traveled, which seems like a silly description, but we traveled to all different spaces is what I want to say. So as in space, as in between the space of things, in between dimensions, and it was beautiful. Oh, and I forgot to say at the beginning, I ended the day just having this feeling of just being so, it's a funny phrase sometimes, but for some reason it sticks with me, of being so damn happy. I was tired, but I was so happy, and I, you know, sometimes I went to get a glass of water, I said, oh, I'm so damn happy, this is fun, and not as weird, where just acknowledging, saying it out loud. And Keegan, meanwhile, is kind of saying the same thing. He's so damn happy, and he's singing to his pig, and he's got this pig that wings, and he's doing cartwheels and stuff. And as I went through all of these places, it's almost like we made a stop along different ways. Like we stopped at this planet, and we stopped at, you know, that Milky Way on-ramp, and we stopped, you know, over in that town, or if that makes sense. And each place, each stop was very detailed and very involved. So I go back to those, but I wanted to just get the sense of it. And wondrous things unfolded at each stop. And as I was going through it, it seemed that all of my senses, all of my hearing, and I was talking through it. I mean, I was conversing, although I don't know if sound-wise anything was coming up, but I was having a conversation with myself, with me, with the other beings, or there was animals, sometimes there were elementals, and because wherever I was going, there were interactions, and the most amazing depth and sensory richness to all the interactions. So much beyond what I've heard described of or experienced myself with telepathy and other things like that. And parts of me, parts of my body, parts of my knowing, parts of my experiences, so to say, heretofore, or kind of all the way that I'm already used to, you know, sensing and being and engaging, we're all so damn happy. You know, it was like that there was this effervescence and this aliveness and this sensual in-breath and out-breath of sparking and igniting, you know, like flashes of things, flashes going on, and everything. Oh, that makes me remember everything as it went on. Everything was changing right then, right in the moment. So I could look at my hand, and it had different characteristics. It had different, you know, just from the fingers and skin, tactile senses and changes. And so everything, my eyes could see what I was seeing, what I was encountering, what the conversation, let's say, you know, I'm right here, I'm having a conversation, so I can see the video, I can see this, you know. So the ability to see it and describe it and experience it and have a knowing of just exactly what everything was doing or capable of doing, or I'm not really describing it well. So all of that was enhancing and changing, and with all the flashes, they were like these beautiful jeweled effervescent spheres that my cells were changing into, I think is a good way to describe it. And then so we kind of went to lots of different places, and this kept building, and the water was still hot, so it wasn't in there that long. But then it was not a crescendo and not a finale kind of a thing, but you know, kind of like a swelling, kind of a building, kind of a fullness and overflowing. So the crescendo to me means like the end, it's finished kind of a thing, and I don't get the sense that this is ever finished, whatever per se this was. But it was like that I was the key and the lock, and I had put all the keys in, and in a flash of brilliance, a flash of light, a flash of love, a flash of, you know, resounding, heightened emotion, all the locks tumbled open. And like I said at the beginning, where I could kind of see and hear the doors opening or sliding, you know, and the floor sliding, that was again it seemed like it was out of the no timeness of all this, that it was particularly remarkable. The sound, the sense, all of that as it happened, if that makes sense. But the keys and the lock.
Well, I have a sense of something, and I'd like to get your. First of all, I'd like to point out that you absolutely heard, whether you're aware of it or not, my question. I was rooting around on my phone over here for your notes because I wanted to, before you actually stated about how you were so damn happy, I was sitting here thinking to myself, okay, BZ, I need to know, was that before you began this?
Yes.
That's what I thought. I had a sense too because you shared some lovely flower pictures with us yesterday, and I had a sense then that you were extra bubbly.
Yes.
But I get the sense through your relating of this right now. I didn't get it through the notes, but your description there, I get a sense that portions, if not all of your crystalline DNA structure was activated, is what you experienced. What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, I'm just laughing. I have to duck my head, you know. It could be. You know, I don't, it could be. I wouldn't say no. It was like nothing I've ever experienced. The only reason I kind of say it like that is that in the different conversations and places and stops and stuff, that was never discussed per se, but that doesn't mean anything, because if that's going on, there's no need to discuss it. So
right. See, the reason I bring that up, it's just a sense that I have that it was the spark of the activation of the crystalline DNA coming online in the manner in which it did, which set all of that in motion.
yeah,
All of the little vignettes, all of the traveling, all of it. That's the sense I have, is that
yeah,
that is what took place, and that is your experience of it.
that could be absolutely. So I was thinking more of, gosh, these words I'm using to describe it are really killing the fun experience that I have. Because they're not doing it. You know, if I could just give you the pictures and all that out of here. But yeah, that could be very possible. Yes, because something, as I said, everything was changing, and I guess at the time that it was happening, you know, cool or weird or freaky shit happens all the time. So it's just, I take it in stride. But of you asking that could be because I'm trying to think of whether, you know, an encounter or a conversation or a stop, that's the best way I can say it, you know, turned something on, as you say, or revealed something. I don't think that it did. I think it was kind of all happening simultaneously and in a perceived progression.
Yes, that's the sense that I have. It wasn't something within the experience that caused it. That was the event, so to speak, of the activation or the kickoff, or you know, it could be just a specific, maybe even strand or area of the DNA or something. But I have a sense, I might even go so far as to say I have a knowing, because it came in so strong during that sharing that you know, when you were describing it, it just came in very strong that that's exactly what that was, and that it was that activation, that it was the entire experience was due to the activation itself. And that's why you had to get in the shower. That's
Yeah,
why the nudge was, go get in there now.
right.
Yeah. Wow. That is so, I mean, and I have body chills as I was saying that. So you know, I thought I had a sense of it before, but now I have a knowing that that is exactly what took place for you.
And it's funny because the whole thing was really sublimely beautiful. I mean, more beauty. And I hang out in a lot of things that are beautiful, so you know, it's not like I just see gray stuff, but you know, but more beauty and more sublime beauty. So more. Boy, the language fails. And I'm not certain that it was that I was seeing more beauty than I've ever seen before, but that I was capable of seeing the beauty that's always there. And like I said, for years, my amount of colors that I can see, all that kind of stuff is, I've been looking in black and white for all that time. I thought I was seeing more. No, it was all black and white.
Well, I know that the language does pale, and perhaps it is because the three of us have spent so much time together, but I could feel the frequency of what you're describing. And I think that might be why I could say to you with more confidence than I've ever said anything in my life before, actually, that is what happened for you. Mm-hmm. And I feel that within my own body, to be able to say that to you and know, finally I get what knowing means. I know.
That's the definition, right? People always ask me what the definition is. Well, you'll know it when you know it. Yeah, well, that fits the different stops and the different experiences. This is kind of an aside to the journey. It's not, but I'm going to say that for a moment like that, to all the stops, because what I experienced is the real. It's what's real. And I'm at a point now, and all things that I've done and am doing and all that kind of stuff, that I don't have the same sadness that I used to, where I go, oh, well, at the quote unquote real over here. But it's when, even if people can get just a glimpse of, in their own way, these different things, it's effortless to let all of the bullshit go. I mean, it's laughable. It's not, you don't even, whatever it is, it doesn't, there's no point in hanging on to it, or hanging on to the attachment of it, or the worry of it, or anything. Because it's like looking at, this beautiful leaf or tree or flower or something, and one petal is just shaped just a little bit differently, and it's still beautiful like the rest of the flower. It's just in a slightly different configuration, and it completes the flower, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, I also have a sense, BZ, that you're not finished with those types of activations. I think, like you were saying, you actually said that it never ends, but this has been a huge one, it feels like, for you. But I have a sense that there's more.
Yeah, well, I think there's always more, and just like in the shower, everything kept changing and shifting. So that was an interesting thing. The one way I could describe it, that each stop seemed to be more cool, more beautiful, more fantastical, more, well, hey, I didn't know there was such a thing as that, and okay, that can, but it was also very just so. So I'm not trying to diminish it and say it in a way that's jaded or not, absolutely awestruck with appreciation, but all I can say is that is the real. That's the everyday. That's
Right.
You
I
know,
mean, I feel
anybody goes to a shower and hey, you know, that's, you know, you do a little hair shampoo and you go to several worlds. And, you know, I mean, everybody does that. Well, what are you talking about? You're in the wrong shower or something.
it also kind of feels to me like part of what you might have been experiencing was those other portions of yourself in those other realms, because we are multidimensional. And that is that's the feeling that I'm getting, is why it feels that is just so, because it is just so. You exist in lots of, we all do, by the way. We're not any of us any different than BZ. It's just that BZ's having this really cool experience in this moment and sharing it. But I had a sense, even while you were sharing that each one of those little vignettes is you experiencing you in other realms, densities, dimensions, times, planets, all of the, well, perhaps not all, because, you know, again, we are so vast, but you were, and it may, oh, okay, hold up. This just in. I think they were directly related to the portions of the DNA that were being activated within you at the time.
Yes, that makes sense. And in particular,
Yeah.
what you were first saying about different aspects, that's absolutely so. And that was clear, not so much about the DNA, but clear about the correlation. When, remember I said at the beginning, there were a bunch of stops we made that seemed, you know, like when I was 10, X and this happened, and you know, but they, so for a moment I was and touched and experienced again the at 10 part, we'll say, right? And at the same moment,
Yeah.
I was experiencing directly, I don't know, the Alpha Centauri at 10, if that makes sense, right? You know, kind of a thing. There was no separation in time. To me, it was as flawless and seamless as when, I was just going to say, when Lisa says something and her mic hasn't come up and nobody else can hear it, but I can hear it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the different places and spaces, you know, maybe an inadequate way to describe it would be like, I think we probably went to 30 places or more, maybe 30 stops. So 30 different movies or 30 different, you know, cool books, or, you know, I mean, they were, each was a complete moment, yet there was this amazingly tangible, yet I don't think I actually, well, I may have seen it, thread that ran through all of them. And some definitely there was a familiarity. A lot was a camaraderie, even if I may have had for a moment the sense of, well, this is new, or this is different, or, you know, like you go to some you go on vacation or you go traveling or something, you go to a new place and you're kind of looking around and see what it's like, or, you know, maybe you read up a little on the blurb about, you know, oh, that building is this or the other thing. So there was a little bit of that, but nothing felt apart. And it included a very wide, I wish I could show you the picture. It included a very wide range of scenery happening, discussions, emotions. But so in other words, if there was something, I wouldn't describe as, well, this was a, light and airy, and this was, kind of dark, and it wasn't like that, because that's a linear mind description. And I think humans are one of the only ones, if the only ones, that do that. Certainly certainly more fourth density. I'm not quite sure how to describe that, but it was compelling, and it was fun. It was just really fun and very fascinating, in the sense of fascinating in new sights, new sounds, familiar sights, familiar sounds, all at the same time, feelings and senses. And we went one stop, and it was kind of a dusky, I guess, sunsetting, or about to be sunsetting, and so maybe a little bit before dusk, and it just was a very festive atmosphere, and there were lots of different kinds of beings there, and there's music, and someone walked up to me and handed me an instrument, and I started playing, and I for a moment thought, well, okay, well, that's pretty cool. and then totally forgot about it, just kept right on doing what I was doing. And it was because I wasn't watching it. Again, that was the other thing that's very, which why I think the activation may be at least part of a good way to describe it, because it was in me. It was happening. I wasn't driving by, or going on the train watching these different things, or even stopping the train and getting off at the next tourist destination.
Yeah, you were actively participating in every vignette.
Yes, and it was yes, and it was more than that. Everything was in me. Does that make sense?
Well, yes, to me it does. I'm feeling when you were describing when you were trying very hard to describe the being new and yet sort of not new, right? I think that for me, just now being able to hold to completely what some might feel are completely opposite things, true and false, and know that they are both so at the same time, is the same kind of feeling behind what you're saying. Yeah. It's not the same, but it's sort of the gist of that for me.
Yeah, and when you were saying that, one thought that came to mind is, one of the steps I would be connecting, communicating, and this kind of communicating, this kind of connecting, the depth and the breadth and the richness, the trueness, the closest I can describe it to linear life is the connection I have to Keegan. But it was instant and complete and right there. And there were some stops where, and I realize now, describing it that my brain was a big, unfortunately I didn't bring a lot of the language skills back, but my brain was a big part of the synapses of processing fully 100% in a multidimensional way, in a there and it and all at once sort of a thing, with only almost like a, oh, well, that's interesting. So almost, I was going to say, kind of like a narrator throwing in a little linear setup, and the narrator was what's left of smarming. But it wasn't a narration. It was just a little bits, and so it might, for example, going to do something. So having it wasn't even a split second, but a split second of thinking, well, yeah, I'd try that. I don't know how to do that, and boom, I'm already doing it, and apparently I've been doing it for eons, kind of a thing. So, what was interesting?
Really good at it.
What?
Oh, I said, and I'm really good at it.
Yeah, and I mean, because none of that comes in. It's just talking about it now helps me realize that we spend an awful lot of time, which is a silly thing anyways, but we spend an awful lot of time I'm good at it, or I'm not good at it, I'm this, I'm that, instead of just jumping in. Just, in fact, that's one of the notes that
Stop it. Just stop it.
What?
That's where I've been all day, so just stop it. She does this every time.
The last I just reading some of these notes. The last as everything faded and the shower was quote unquote just a shower. I'm not sure how I would describe. I would describe it this way. So I said this, I felt this, and all of the beings and all of the stops, because the structures and thought forms, and so all of the different entities, and they were all different. We may only think of a being as a dog or a person, or maybe just person or whatever, however everybody holds it, but all of them gave voice to, was like a this beautiful chorus. They all created this chorus of this, with these last phrases: behold, be love, be ready to launch. And then, like I said, the shower was just a shower, and I and went out.
Behold, be loved, be ready to launch. Well, that's good damn advice for us all, I would say.
Yeah, man.
And I want to point out, Lisa, that the last time you blipped out,
yeah,
there's been a fairy behind you and flitting in and out. I actually, just as I said it, appeared again. So to me, I saw it.
Maybe they're holding this.
The is quite magical this evening. Can you hear the starlings? They're coming in tonight. They live here in the bamboo, and they put on quite the show. And right now they're very chatty. So sorry. It's really loud.
No, it's lovely. I can only hear it when you're speaking.
Oh, okay. Well, it's been the perfect backdrop for me as BZ described her event, because I could almost feel the energy here. Has really enjoyed your story. It's been really fun.
Well, I have a sense that there's due to the energetic envelope that's created with these videos, because it's been quite the energetic envelope, that's for certain. So I would really love to hear from folks what they see, sense, and feel during this video and then after. As I have a sense that, I don't know, we'll see, but.
Well, there was a linear way to describe it was there was a purposeful setup to all of it. And I'm just the, aside from my own thing and doing it, I'm the transmitter and conduit of that.
Right. Yes. And actually, I'm so dizzy in this moment as I get ready to say this. I really, for the longest time, I didn't quite grok perfect and perfectly done, but I do now. As we weren't available to have this conversation last night, and it's been a bit of a weird day for me today all the way around, but, well, it's been a weird week. Well, it's been weird since Friday night, actually, and so, but so it's been, I get the whole perfect and perfectly done now, too, and divine timing, and wow.
Well, and I was apparently, even though I didn't know it when I texted you, I was busy doing more stuff. So I was going into, I've spoken about this a lot before. You can, you have an energetic envelope and then you can go back into it. Back is not the right word, but you can go into it. And it's alive. It's a reality. You go so I was going into some of those stops. I was sitting out in the yard. I was sitting in the chaise lounge, and Rose and Keegan are hanging out with me, and it was a beautiful evening. And hummingbirds, actually, a bunch of them lined up on the fence, and were just tweeting at me, and feeders over here. So
Aww.
That was kind of nice. So I was kind of in some of those moments, and that's why I started to jot down some notes. And then the next thing I remember, I was waking up, and it was a good 45 minutes from the time that I was sitting listening to the birds and everything else. And again, with enhanced, expanded, so damn happy, thing. And I had thought to do a recording myself, but I thought, I'm so damn happy, I don't want to do it. I don't want to get electronics or, any of that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Well,
it's not lost. You talking being so damn happy, and then that leading to the experience, because my guidance every day has been to stay in joy and have a celebratory attitude. And now I see why that's very important, because I have a feeling that is the prelude to the experience that you were having. So I think it's very important to stay in our joy and just be so damn happy.
Yeah,
I know I will from now on.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. I mean, I can't share much because it has to do with work, but I had everything that was unfolding yesterday before the shower, and and just kept more expansion of happy. And today was some things come up. And so before all of this, or, it would have been easier to go, less so for me because I'm good at not doing that, but easy to go into the worry stage, or, got to fix it, or, potential emergency, that kind of stuff. And I still have to do all those kind of more mechanical, linear things. But there is I don't possess any of that energy at all, not even a thought of it. So I'm not quite getting clear so I never feel bad for that. I can be, I am empathic and can roll with that, but this is like, there's a total knowing that is an illusion and does nothing. And language is terrible. And so why would you do it anyways? Just like you're so damn happy. I don't know how to describe it. It just, it's a light bulb moment because I can feel it on everything. And one of the reasons that it keeps kind of being highlighted in different ways is so I can somehow get my mouth to work and convey that to others, because that's something that is of tremendous value to others. Someone say, well, I've got a pot of gold of, thousands of dollars, or I've got this feeling. Well, this is has much more mass in the abundance than this pot of gold sort of does.
Well, it feels important, and I'm glad that you shared it with us. And as I said, for me, it's been a weekend of, but it's like I've kind of instinctively known, rather than allowing myself to continue to not be happy or enjoy. I mean, I'm not quite where either one of you are as far as that's concerned, but rather than sit and try and get more stew in your own juices kind of thing, I've just walked away and okay, if it's not going to work right, or it's not, I'm not going to sit here and, well, I have done some of that beating up on myself, but I'm walk away from it and do something else. So I think that's a very good point that you both bring up, that if indeed this is the prelude, and it certainly sounds to me, because Lisa has been sharing with me for what at least the last 2, 3, 4 weeks even.
At least.
Yeah, her guidance has been stay in joy. Don't, I've got smarmy beating the crap out of me because I'm not doing this, that, or the other like I need to be doing. And Lisa has had lowly, you're not doing this, that, or you're not worthy enough to do this, that, and yet the guidance has been stay in joy, stay in joy, stay in joy. And this, it would seem to me like that's the best guidance for everybody, especially if that's what we're moving towards, and that's how you get there. And it certainly feels right because of, well, we're going to create either way we go, right? And we
are.
Well, that's what I mean. You are creating.
Well, I just want to highlight that. We're not going to create.
No, you're right. Well, I mean, no matter what you're doing, you're going to be creating.
Yes.
And so if you want to create crap because you're feeling like crap, well, if that's what you want to create, okay. Good on ya. Good luck.
Right.
I don't want to, so I'll put that down and do something else.
Well, one of the things, if I was going to try to peg it to something,
Mhm.
and I'm not certain there's a purpose to that, but and there's some corollary to it, but I'm not certain if this precipitated that. But that would be the part of what I've been working was to finish a lot of stuff in here and out there and all sorts of things, because I gave an agreement with me to me in this point in time at the end of, and I timed it with the wampadoodles that are coming in with the energy, but the end of May, that I was forevermore wrapping up all the significant other back there stuff. That makes sense, just to use some linear things. And so one might say the so damn happy has been, I mean, I'm generally a very happy, upbeat person anyways, but the so damn happy has been building with the conclusion of May, and then just, you know, got kicked up a couple notches as soon as, like, I rode the wave from the May energies into June 1st energies, and then it just has been going since then.
Well, when you say the back there, I feel like what you really are speaking on is the old paradigm.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, completing a bunch of missions and completing a bunch of tail chasing and centuries long, and you know, all sorts of stuff, and quantum jumps. You know, there's lots of ways, linear words I could use to describe it, but so I guess what I'm saying, so it's, I definitely don't want, and I'm not just to point this out, I don't want to say that one has to do X or Y to have, they're not mutually exclusive of each other. One doesn't necessarily beget the other. But at the same time, one shifts into a different energy when they move out of one thing, let go, resolve, complete, to something else. So, but it doesn't have to be a prescribed length of time. It can happen, and does happen, in an instant, if that makes sense. So, you know, I don't have to go through the, you know, oh, I've got my list here, and I, you know, okay, I checked one off. Oh no, I still have 20. You know, it isn't like that. It can be exactly like that. And you can add or have things added to your list as you're going, thinking, oh no, I'm on 10, but they just added to, you know, it absolutely can be like that. But it can also be where it's in an instant.
Well, for those that are wondering about the whole list thing, I, for one, am glad I don't know what my list is. So I'm all right with that. At this point, I'm a bit anal about being the perfectionist, so I'm kind of glad I don't have a list. And I want to point this out too, BZ, because I feel like this is important too. I feel like each and every one of us, it will be look, feel, taste completely different as we go along, because I'm certain of that. That's a knowing that I have now too. Even though I said I want to have what BZ had, I know that mine will look and feel differently, as will Lisa's, as will everybody else's. It will be however we, the largest portion of we, set it up to look and feel
Absolutely.
and be.
And the beauty of that is that it will feel like, you said I want to have what she's having or whatever it is, because it's you asking for that and you're giving it to you. It will feel just like that. It will just be Sheila's version. So,
Right.
there won't be absolutely any room for saying, well, yeah, but I like that, that version. It doesn't, it just won't happen that way because it's custom and tailor made for you by you.
Yes. And well, so I'm begging to say this too, because this has really been a big theme for me recently. That's because to say that we all are supposed to do it in one specific kind of way, look, I don't know, like cookie cutter or whatever, that's called conformity. That's like what we're leaving, not sovereignty, which is everybody gets to do it their own way.
Yeah.
And that's the paradigm that we're entering.
It's the sense of, I just want to read this last paragraph of notes, because whereas this is my space that I walk through and my description of it, it's the sense of it, and the sense of it is what. So if someone gets a sense of something and they say, oh, I'd like that, or wow, it enlivens your own senses to play with your thing of that. Does that make sense? Because I just heard a number of people saying, well, I don't know how to do that, or what am I missing, or why is this not happening, that kind of stuff. And all of that again is old paradigm stuff that there's less than or greater than or missing something, or you're magnificent. Just get over it. You are magnificent. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no question whatsoever. So this is the sense, and this is towards the end. Like keys in a lock, and oh, the doors that were opening, and we were walking into sublimely delicious frequencies. An ocean of light inside me was opening, burgeoning, suffusing every cell of my body, and spilling out in effervescent spirals and ribbons of luminous colors. And then there was, all of that hold, and then the words, behold, be love, be ready to launch. And so that's just a sense, just my kind of notes on a sense. And to me, the beauty of that sense is that it's not a list. It's not a descriptor. It's not a, you got to hold this pose and, go to the end of the dock on the top of the spile and put your leg over your head and, hold that pose for... Yeah. Otherwise, the ship won't pick you up.
I'm so glad that that's not a requirement, because I, A, couldn't, and B, it would not be a pretty sight even if I could.
But so much is written, so much is written that way, and
yes.
Anyways, that's just my sense that came through and was nudged to share again.
Well, I love that last part, BZ. Be love, behold, be love, be ready to launch. That's I love that.
Oh, and I want to show you one thing. Let's see, I'll share the screen.
Yay.
So afterwards, when I was playing, I pulled some cards, and these were the cards that came up. Can you see that?
Oh.
I love that. That is gorgeous.
Yes.
What deck is that from? Never seen that before.
I have to go. Oh. But I liked it because you can see the heart and the throat, all these chakras open, the hummingbirds, which are transformation. There's the hummingbird right by the heart.
Right.
Wow.
I don't know how to get to the next picture, so I'm going to have to close this. Let's see. And then this one came up.
Oh.
And this part at the top this was just on my pad I was writing the notes on.
I gotcha.
And again, this one I thought was because of all the cells and everything in my body.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How gorgeous.
And then this was the last one that came up.
Oh.
That's
lovely. I love that deck.
Yeah, and the rainbows. And then I pulled one from a different one that was animal. And I thought moose wisdom, let your head and mind reach to the stars, yet keep your feet grounded on the earth. Listen to the ancient wisdom in your soul. The ancestors speak through you. You know much.
Oh.
How perfectly fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good thing to.
Yeah.
And again, that's a sense, for everyone. That's one of the reasons I was nudged to pull those cards to share, just because, yes, everyone is unique, but that's where the unique and all one comes together. We are all this. We are all magnificent.
Well, that for me is the exact same thing as being able to hold the true and false and know that they can both be correct at the same time. And the reason why is that because we are all one and singular all at the same time. Mm-hmm. Same thing. To me, it's the same thing. Same exact thing. What a really cool conversation, BZ. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I'm sufficiently dizzy.
Yes.
Makes me want to take a shower more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think if I took more than two a day, people would wonder why I wasn't at work. Poor BC girl, she's in the shower again.
That's the cleanest bunch I know.
I can hear my shower calling.
Wow. Well, we didn't hear very much from you, Lisa. Do you have anything you would like to add to this conversation?
No, I thought it was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. It was very rich, although I was in and out quite a bit, so I almost feel like I need to listen to it again.
Yeah, even your video is a little choppy, sweetie.
Yeah, I had trouble staying in the room.
Yeah. Well, so BZ, did you have anything else that you'd like to add?
I would say that each one of us is flowing through all of this, and it absolutely will happen differently, but you're spectacular, and not really anything else needs to be said except to trust that and to notice it for yourself, because like the Dr. Seuss line, the places you'll go, and you don't even have to leave the house, man. Just take a shower.
Well, I also want to say that for me, what you just said there in regards to it is going to be different for each one of us. And it also brings to mind for me, Denise LaFay's newest, that was on the IUV that I have up on my desktop to record. And also, some of Allison Coe's videos. The event is going to happen for each individual as they set up. And I feel as though this type of experience that you've shared is either directly tied to whatever it is that these higher selves have been sharing with Allison Coe, and that we we each one of us set it up to have the maximum experience that we desired to have. And so just because BZ's had hers, this particular one now, and I haven't, or Lisa hasn't, or any one of you out there haven't, does not mean you won't. It means that it's not your turn yet, or you decided not to do it at this point, or whatever. That's my feel on it. And
what's the phrase that actually both of you have said before on camera? Was it? It's so weird. I was so happy today. You know, I mean, that's something that one can actively do. Is if you're happy, I'm happy. You know, and well, for that matter, if you're sad, you're sad. But you know, there's this. It's weird. I'm so happy today. You know, kind of a thing.
I gotcha. Yeah. It's almost like so unexpected.
Or you're apologetic.
Right.
Right. Oh, I'm so sorry that I'm in joy.
Yeah.
Well,
beyond the sky is the limit, and everything. I'll finish with this: that everything that we have experienced here that's constricting and of fear has been of a choosing and a catalyst and an expansion, so not at all bad in that. I think the hummingbird is going to come right over here and sit in front of the camera. Not at all bad in that respect, but it isn't, at the same time, it is illusory, and as soon as we touch it and meet it, we see that only thing that exists is love. And I mean that in the most tangible, visceral, linear, palpable reality stuffness that you can conjure, in addition to all the other realms you could conjure it in.
well, thank you for sharing this experience with us, BZ. And I would love to hear from anyone and everyone in regards to your experience of this particular conversation. Most specifically because I know how I'm feeling within my own personal body and field, having been here now. And so I'd love to hear from everyone who feels so moved to write and share your experience of this particular conversation. The feelings that it evoked within your body and your field, any kind of thoughts that it evoked for you. I'm very interested to know that. And, you know, all the information to contact BZ, Lisa, and myself is always in the show more section of every single video that I put out. And
yeah, me too. Put it on the Ivy or the Quantum Playground YouTube.
Yeah, right. And so yeah, you know, we need to put that in there too, BZ, if you'd like. And so I want to also say to please, I want to remind everyone, if you like this video, please say so by giving it a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you want to know when videos are uploaded, that is when YouTube cooperates, click the bell icon and you'll be notified. So thanks, gals. Till next time.